Do you want more? More time, more balance, more love, more sex, more money, more real, and less bullshit? This is the Women Wanting More podcast with Dr. Karen Osborne. Real life, real stories, plus real tips to get you more of what you want.
So let me tell you the story, sister, of why I left a retreat that I went to in Northern California, women's retreat, 3 days, kind of more, I mean, like Friday night, Saturday, half day, Sunday, but we'll call it 3 days. Flew to Northern California, away from my family, paid for the retreat, paid for a plane ticket, paid for the accommodations there, to leave by halfway through day 2. Why did I do that? So let's talk about first why I booked the retreat. I booked the retreat because I have been going through a lot of stuff inside of me, a massive shift, what I've referred to as a breakdown, breakthrough, breaking down, falling apart, what the fuck is happening. We'll call it all those things. It's, you know, I've described it in many of the podcasts recently, but it's also something that's really indescribable for me because it is a feeling, and it's not a feeling I can go, well, I felt this or I felt that. I mean, there are lots of different emotions that I've been experiencing, but it is a feeling of just like your real feeling like it shifted upside down. And everything that you thought to be true about yourself, you're realizing is not necessarily true. So it's a little unnerving. I'll just put it at that. So I consider going to something in Costa Rica that I'm like, that's too far and too much travel. I was looking at something at the Mega Institute, which is out east, and it's not even that it's, far because I live on the west coast here in Victoria, BC, Canada, but I could go out to JFK or to Newark and then, but from there it was like a 3-4 hour drive. It's like really rural and and then that would have, anyways, nothing was really working. So I got really frustrated. I'm like, whatever, women's retreats, blah. I think maybe I did California. So I was like, there's gotta be stuff in California. We used to actually live in Northern California. So I went to chiropractic college and I was like, come on, it's got to be the mecca of a lot of retreat stuff. This has to be in California. So I found this place, which is called 1440. Beautiful facility that's only been there for like a year, like amazing people that have come to speak there. And I looked at something coming up in a couple weeks and weekends, and it was on like finding balance and self-care, and the self-care stuff I felt like I kind of had. But I was like, this was kind of like, women that feel like they're kind of like, going through a major shift or transition in life. And I'm like, well, that's me. And I'm going through menopause right now. And so I'm like, all right. So I booked this thing. My husband was very supportive of it. The night before I left, I had a conversation with my husband. I'm like crying. I'm going, what the fuck am I doing? I'm going to this women's retreat. Like, I don't know anybody there. I'm going to be there by myself. I don't necessarily like traveling by myself, but the thought of it, and there's been a lot of things that have been happening with us together as a couple, a lot of things happening with our children, a lot of things happening with each of us individually. It just felt like this is such a bad time for me to be going away right now. And it's like, well, do you want to cancel it? And I'm like, no, because then if I cancel it, I'm gonna feel like more of a fucking failure. Like, I'm just gonna go then, whatever. I'm kind of doing the thing that Karen's often done, which is like, just fucking push through it. Like, just shut up, stop whining, complaining about it, just fucking go. There's a lot of women that don't have this opportunity to do this, and or a supportive husband, and or the financial means to be able to do this thing. Like, what the fuck are you complaining about? But it's like I went through this moment of just like bawling for like about half an hour, and then I kind of like got it out of me, and then I was like, you know what? I need this space for me. I just need this space for me. I have no idea what this thing is going to be like, but I know I need this space for me. That I know for absolute certain. So I went. So I flew down, early morning flight, and I flew down to this retreat. So I got in on the Friday, and it's like beautiful. Again, Northern California, kind of in the Santa Cruz Mountains, big redwood trees, and like just amazing. So I get there, and I've even physically, I've not been feeling well. And And so I've had this constant headache, which is so unusual for me. Digestive upset, also very unusual for me. I'm feeling really tired because I've been up since 3 a.m. to catch a 5:45 flight. And so I'm there. And so we started the Friday night, had dinner, started the Friday night, and a big circle of women sitting on the floor, and I'm like, okay, I purposely booked this thing going, this is not something I would normally do, but I feel like I'm changing, or more of I'm remembering who I am, so maybe this is really what I need. Maybe I need to do the opposite of what I would normally do. Sidebar, there was a whole Seinfeld episode about that with George. You should watch it, it's hilarious. So we do what we do that night, and I'm tired and stuff. We only go from 7:30 till just after 9ish or something. I'm like, okay, whatever. I don't know anything about this speaker, but she seems like a really lovely woman. And then I remember kind of going home and going man, not going home, but going back to my room and just being like, I don't know if this is for me. The whole vibe of this and the whole feminine energy and tapping in and your goddess, and I'm like, this is so not me. I know me is kind of feels like it's being, rebirthed, and again, I use the word remember because I don't think it's about, for us, about I'm trying to figure out who I am. No, it's remembering who you are, because I think we come into this world knowing who we are, and then we have a lot of life experiences that shift that, or numb it, or veer us off in the direction, or we're told how to be or who we're supposed to become. Remembering. And so I'm like, well, you know what, I'm gonna, I think I was texting my husband that night. I'm like, babe, I don't really know. And he's like, well, just you take care of you. This retreat is a lot about self-care stuff. So I'm like, there's spa stuff there. There's walking trails, and I'm like, all these books. I'm like, there's things that I could be doing outside of attending this retreat, right? There's other things that I can do. Sleep. What a concept, get some extra sleep. Again, I'm not feeling well. And so I get up the next morning and did not sleep well, still have the headache. I'm like having Tylenol. I don't take drugs, of any kind. And so for me to kind of be at that point where I'm like, okay, I gotta have Tylenol or something, I need to function. It's been getting really heavy for me for a long, long time. And my stomach's really upset, and run to the bathroom. I'm just this is horrible, what's happening? So I get to the retreat, and I get there in the morning, and we start doing some type of free-form dancing, and I'm like, I am going to literally crawl out of my skin right now. And the only way that I survived this thing was I closed my eyes as I danced. I am not, I'll dance, but I don't go out dancing. I find that whole thing very uncomfortable. And then I'm dancing around with a group of women. I'm just oh, what the hell have I done? So that finishes. I'm like, okay. And then there was other kind of small group sharing and stuff. And listen, all really lovely women there. The woman running the retreat was lovely. Her friend who helps and assists her, lovely. And I'm like, well, I'm just going to I'll go to the morning and I'll see. So I went to the morning and I'm like, oh, God, I don't. But again, I had this thing of well, if I leave, what the fuck did I come down here for? But also at the same time trusting, there's something for me in this. I knew when I'm like, there's something for me in this. And there were certain things that I realized as we're going through some of the different things that we're being asked to do and, journal about and all this. And, went for lunch, came back. I was like, okay, if it doesn't work out. When I came back from lunch, I talked to the person that was assisting the woman running the event. I just said, hey, heads up. I so respect what you're doing. I've run events. I get this. I honor the women here. I don't think I'm supposed to be here. It does not feel like this is not a fit for me at all. And they were really great. She's like, listen, this is for you. You honor and respect what you want for you, what you need for you. So I went to lunch. I came back and I'm like, well, I'm going to kind of go. And then we had just 2.5 hours in the afternoon. At the first break, I was like, I'm out. It was now then a very clear of you need to leave. You need to leave. I'm certainly not going to come all the way down here and then be stuck in something that I don't want. So I was like, I'm out. So let's talk about the reason this podcast. Why am I even talking about this? Why did I leave? It's not like there was nothing wrong with the retreat. There was nothing wrong with the person presenting, and nothing wrong with the facility. It's beautiful there. The women that were there, like lovely women. It just was not for me. And I left for two reasons. Number one, there had actually been on the plane ride a lot of stuff I was like reading and processing and a lot of ways that I feel that I've been showing up for some very important people in my life that has not been honoring of them. And it was a real crashing, punch in the face, punch in the gut realization about it. So as I'm reading and I'm journaling and I'm realizing stuff, I'm like crying. I'm crying for most of Friday as I'm traveling. So I realized, I remember like as on that day, I'm like, if I have nothing else, I've realized this, that perhaps I needed to have the space for me to just like think and be and go through this. And the second thing that I realized is in some of the work that I did do in the retreat, I realized, and it was like difficult for me to admit this, even the small group of like 3 women that I was put together with, because there was like 30 of us in this retreat, where I was like, you know what? The negative self-talk has been brutal. And it is not easy for me to admit that, because that has not been who I am. Of course I have doubts. Of course I have fears. Of course I have uncertainties. Of course I'm like, I don't know if this is going to work at times. But I have always been someone that's like, okay, this is what I'm feeling. Like, I acknowledge it. But you know what? I'm a strong woman. I can do this. Challenges are coming up. What's the lesson? Boom, I got the gift. Okay, cool. I'm going to keep moving forward. I'm going to keep taking action. I'm going to keep doing what I need to do. I will be persistent. I will not give up. That has always been me. That has been the voice in my head for most of my life. And to even admit to you right now, sister, where it's like, the things that I've been telling myself is like, you're a horrible mother. Like, not just every mother, every parent has their like, oh God, if I was like, no, you suck. My son's birth moms must have made a mistake. They chose me wrong. Like deep, beat myself up. And then when I'm on the ground, I'm like beating myself up more. And then I like cover it in this like fucking blanket of shame. And then I light that shit on fire. And then I keep like, it's been very heavy inside of me. And I suck as a wife. And I suck in this movement. Everything, it's just like crashing. And I realize that the negative self-talk is heavy and damaging and unnecessary. And another piece of that is that it's just like, it's enough now. It's enough now, Karen. Ego has had its fucking fun with you for the last 5 months. It's time to tell that motherfucker to go. And to remember that you're a being of love. And to remember that you are a daughter of God. And none of this is necessary. And none of this is true. And it's time to begin to rebuild. And there are no timelines as to what this takes. And there's no expectations about it. And I'm letting all that shit go. And the most important thing for me is to really, truly learn how to deeply love who I am. Deeply love who I am. To be deeply open to this experience. And when I decided to leave 3 o'clock on that Saturday, I was like, you know what? I got what I needed. Now I need to get the ball rolling. It's kind of like, it's like, imagine we learned how to drive if it was like all like theory. So you'd be like sitting in a class and then you're watching videos and someone's talking about it and then you're like doing like simulated versions of it. At the point you're just like, I just got to drive the car now. Like, I just need to drive. I need to have that experience of actually driving the car. And so I got all that I needed for me. And now I need to drive that car. Now I need to take what I was really uncovering about myself, and that I realized because of how much that I've done to work on myself, even leading up to this. I remember my therapist saying this to me too, where he's like, Karen, like, I know you want to be like, you want to be like, have another coach, and then mentor, go this program. He's like, the work is inside now. Karen, the work is inside. And I realized that. I realized that I have enough now to lead myself. It doesn't mean that I don't hire a coach at some time in the near or far future. It doesn't mean that I don't go to seminars. It doesn't mean that I don't read books, listen to podcasts. But like, it does not happen on the outside. It's inside. It's inside. There's nothing else that needs to happen externally in order for me to heal and move through this process that I'm going through right now. So here's your more tip for today is I want you to think of something that you are staying in, that you got what you needed, but somehow you're staying in because of guilt, because of shame about it, because like you're afraid what people will think of you. Like when I was still, I was still there. I didn't leave the campus where it was, and I took care of me, and I got a massage that night because this like horrific headache, and I got some extra sleep, and I went for dinner, and I read, and I journaled, and I cried, and I did this more that morning, and then I traveled. My flight was into later on the Sunday. I was looking to change it. Only flight was like at 6:30 in the morning. I'm like, I'm not doing that. I feel like shit. I need to rest. I got 8.5 hours of sleep that night. I don't remember the last time I've done that much sleep. So where is it for you, sister, that you are staying in something, in some experience, in some place, in whatever it is, and you've gotten what you needed, but you're still there. And what that's doing is it's not allowing you to move forward because you're stuck in that. You have gotten everything you needed, and you're actually going back now because you're not moving forward with what you need to do. So where is that? I'm just going to let you sit with that and hear whatever you need to hear for you in this process. So finishing up, sister, 2 things. Number 1, there's been a lot of you that are swiping up some of the last, there's about 50-ish or so Women Wanting More limited edition journals. I send them to you for free. It's my gift for you. I take care of a little bit of shipping, and I take care of all the rest. They are orange, leather bound, like beautiful. This is the last run. I will not do them again. So if you would like one, head over to drkarenosborne.com/free journal. If you don't subscribe to the newsletter, go do that now. drkarenosborne.com/action guide. So I will talk to the next episode, sister. A life of more is one step away from you realizing when you need to let or leave something go every single day. I love and appreciate you.
To get the show notes of each Women Wanting More episode, including the How to Get More tip, subscribe to the newsletter at drkarenosborne.com/newsletter.